Hello and welcome back to For the Girls. Today, no, I'm just joking.
We're serving.
I thought you were doing
clouds.
very well.
I was trying to be a news anchor.
I
sounded-
don't cut
I'm
this.
like, what's
Don't cut this.
Stormy, sunny. What is it giving? All right. Okay, we're ready for real. You guys,
Let's do it.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of For the Girls podcast. Well, I had a few drinks before this. Brought to you by Relationship Restored.
We have you were gonna mess that up.
I know, I really did. I
okay.
normally don't.
going.
Okay. But anyways, we have to talk about a few things before we get started. So first, as you see, we're in a different space.
Woo, I like it, y'all. What y'all think? Comment below.
I need
It's a
to
new
Do we
vibe.
like this or do we like the old setup?
The
I like
switch up.
this.
I like the switch up.
I like the switch up.
We need to know because we have two options. It's this or we're going to switch to a couch.
I feel like if we get enough
y'all
votes
want
for this,
full
our
vibe?
lovely producer
yeah,
will go with it. What do y'all think?
I'm here for
I
it.
think so too.
Yeah, I think so
This
too.
option, we only have to wear a top to work. The other option, we have to be
What's
like
down below is a mystery.
shoes, pants.
It is a
Cece's
mystery. Also,
wearing
comment below to see
some
if you can
sexy
guess what we're wearing down below. Ooh, the Sean Johns. Woo!
I'm naked. No, I got on pants. But the mystery is kind of sexy.
It is.
Yeah.
So,
Plus, no shapewear, no pulling up.
No shoes. How about no shoes? We don't have to bring shoes.
And then sitting in the chair.
like
We have to hold those poses for so long, y'all.
Like ever,
flexing,
y'all.
honestly,
So
for
right
like
now,
45 minutes.
I'm
Wait,
feeling
okay,
real
we
loose.
need to make a demand right now. Dre needs to create a video of For the Girls, either behind the scenes or bloopers, of what happens before and after he says action, because it's us trying to get comfortable and we're like holding it.
Do I
and then
like
we
this?
stop
Do
and
I
then we're like, and we like let go and it's like, we're like wobbling away. And
We have heels on.
Throwing shoes off, like God.
Dre, that's our request. Give us a bloopers video. We're here for it.
Thanks, Coach.
But let's shout out Cece because she is in the middle. I hate being in the middle. I have been
You're
told.
welcome. You're welcome.
I've been told I look like a bobblehead on the show. I'm just
Now it's Cece's
and they
turn.
think it's funny. And I was like, okay.
You just have to do it with grace and like. Just
Well,
like a little,
the big Dre wanted you in the middle. He wanted you to be the moderate,
hello.
the host. Yeah, I mean,
That's so nice.
it's his wife. It's
But
like,
as
you're
of
in the
now,
middle.
it's not about Dre. It's about For the Girls.
It
and
is.
we are
It
playing
is.
musical
it's for
chairs.
the girls, y'all.
So every episode, you're gonna see someone else in the center, and it's a surprise. So
It's gonna get spicy.
Cece serving center today.
And she looks amazing, doesn't she?
I mean,
Hello.
honestly, my curls help.
It's giving.
It
They're
is.
giving.
Yes.
So,
Okay, let's jump into this episode. Good Lord. What are we talking about today? We are talking about the transition between being a girlfriend to a fiance to a wife.
And it's very different for all three of us.
Yeah,
It is.
very
It
different.
is.
Very
I mean,
different.
per usual, I think we
No.
all bring different backgrounds
Yeah.
in any topic we talk about.
Just different situations.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
Who wants to kick it off?
I think you should, Bree. I think you should. You're in the corner over there.
Right.
Bring
Miss, you got my good angle. Go
right,
ahead.
right,
Show,
right.
girl.
Bring
Go
it
ahead.
in. Bring it in.
Here, let
Give me a
let
close-up.
Let me help you.
Not the person who suggested it.
Oh, okay. Yes. Again, this is a
Ooh.
topic that you guys suggested. And who is the you guy?
So her name is Elena Renee.
Okay,
She has a business in photography. So her Instagram is Elena Renee Photo. She is a Tennessee wedding photographer. She's booking now for 2023, which means she's booked.
Hey, 2022 is done.
I am here for. Okay, so she's in Knoxville, Tennessee, but I'm assuming she travels. So yeah, definitely thank you for this topic. It's a great topic. We were
Yeah.
very excited
And
for
I
it.
love the aesthetic of your page, honey. It's very consistent. We
It's
like
a vibe. It's a vibe.
that. What?
We love a good aesthetic. We love a good aesthetic.
It's true.
Yeah.
We're about aesthetic. Okay, so I'm gonna be honest, y'all. Every show thus far, I have not prepared. Only because Dre and I, with Worth the Wait, we never really prepare because it's like we live these things, we just talk about them.
Yeah.
And
And also, you're just naturally a phenomenal speaker.
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome.
But I will say, as I watch them back, I'm like, I look uninterested and unprepared. I look.
Some episodes, you're just like,
You know, sometimes when life is happening and then you're like forced to film on your one-off day,
I get it, girl.
It's
Listen.
tough. So I had to shift my mind, you know, and at the end of the day, like, y'all are two of my very best friends and I love to be around you, and Dre's my husband and obviously I want to support him. And so I decided today, you know, I was like, I need to make sure I prepare and be more intentional. I always speak about being intentional, and I was like, I just be showing up, and that's not fair for our listeners.
That's not
fair to y'all, to myself, to Dre. So I was very excited when I prepared today. And when I looked at our topic, I was like, ooh, immediately the first thing that came to my mind is when I think of transitioning from girlfriend to fiance to wife, I think of 3 words. It is,
oh shit. Roll. Okay, guys.
Wait a minute.
Wait.
No, let her get it out. Let her get it out. Let her get it out. Let her get it out.
it's the sound that Dre made when he was sipping his drink and heard that.
I mean, because there was a build up. There was a build up.
No. But also, Dre knows his wife, and he knows this is a very brief thing.
Well, also, I never prepare. So trying to remember something that I came up with. We're going to run this back.
Oh my God. Okay.
When I think of transitioning from girlfriend to fiance to wife, I think of 3 words. And the very first one is potential. Secondly, promise. And third, guarantee. So when I was dating, I looked at dating in a sense of when I become boyfriend and girlfriend with someone, I then have to see potential in them and they have to see potential in me. Therefore, if I want marriage, I should see a potential husband. So this is the time where you date and you figure out if that next step makes sense or not. Then once that person proposes to you and you become a fiance, he chooses you. You're not yet married, but he's showing you a promise for marriage, right? So we're in a space where that potential turned into promise. And now we're building and we're preparing to be a married couple. So for me, the biggest difference was from the potential to promise, because the guarantee, once it was promised, it already felt kind of guaranteed in a sense. Mm-hmm. So the difference in being married from fiance is that it's like, okay, you know, close the envelope. This is my guy. This is my person. Now I have the full guaranteed feeling that I needed to be able to start a family and to start my life with this person as their partner. And when we talked about this beforehand, Cece mentioned her situation. I was like, oh, I don't want people to think that you have to go through these 3 steps, because you could absolutely have a family before getting to marriage and all of that. But for me, I mean, my man was waiting for marriage, so there was no opportunity for children beforehand. So for me, marriage was the guarantee before we start a family. And those 3 words I think is important, because even if you aren't married now, if you've never been married before, if you think of the possibilities that are for you in dating, when you go from looking at the potential that you have or someone else has to the promise that you're wanting to give to each other to the guarantee of stepping into marriage, it's a contract, y'all. Especially if you got money.
It's a binding
it's a contract.
About it.
So before you get to that step, you have to do all of the preparation to make sure that once you are in that partnership, that you're good and you're stable. And the number one word that comes to mind for me is security. I never felt unsecure or insecure in my relationship with Dre, but the marriage was like, oh, this is what security looks like. You know, when we buy a house, we are buying a house. When we have a business, we have a business. So that's what I think of. So I want Cece to go into hers, because when I mentioned this earlier, you had a really great point, and I was like, oh, that's so good. So I want you to talk about your experience and what you think in terms of transition.
I mean, so I told Bree earlier that for me, my transition didn't really feel much different from girlfriend to fiance to wife. And I think that's for a number of reasons. One is that Shane and I were tremendously intentional about our relationship when we became boyfriend and girlfriend. Shane, at the time, was in his mid-30s and had already done all the necessary hard work that he needed to do to figure out why he was a fuckboy in his 20s. And same with me. Like I was doing my necessarily hard work and personal development to try to like figure out my traumas and why I was acting like how I was acting. So that was that. And when we got together, it was just we just knew we were going to be together. Like, we knew, like, that was my life partner. Shit, we did couples counseling before we even got engaged.
Yes, I can contest.
You know, so that just kind of tells you the nature of how our relationship started. And then also, I got pregnant before we got engaged. So to your point,
which, wait a minute, roll the clip. Let me say this for Shane. Shane already, we went to the mall, we picked out the ring, we had it all planned out before we found out that Cece was pregnant. So when Cece found out she was pregnant, I was like, no, Lord, she's gonna feel like he's only proposing because, and Shane was like, no, Bree, she won't think that. I was like, I was so concerned because I'm like, I don't want her to feel that that's why he's taking
I didn't feel like that.
It was already planned before she knew.
Like I said, when me and Shane were boyfriend and girlfriend, I knew that was gonna be my life partner.
Yeah.
So I already knew who was gonna propose, honey. I mean, it was the way we were both moving with each other.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I was pregnant before we got engaged. So for like how Bree was like, her marriage was like a sense of security.
Yeah.
My baby was already secured it. So it was different for me. And to be honest with you, like, Shane has just been tremendously consistent in our relationship and never falters and is always the most outstanding partner and now husband and father. But he was already doing those things prior to him being a husband and father. So he was already showing me everything I needed to see.
Because I was just about to say, not all women get pregnant and think, like, that's my security.
Absolutely not.
I actually think some women might feel like that, but
and get very disappointed.
Yeah,
I'm only saying that because
it was different. It was different because you already were having those feelings before 100%. You saw the pregnancy test. Yeah,
before we had that good drunken night. Yes,
good drunken night. Hey, Capri.
Hey, Capri. But anyway,
all right, Angela. So how about you?
So for me, when I became Sean's girlfriend, I think, again, everybody's experience is different. But with my experience, there was a baby there when I met him. Amaris was 1. So immediately, my thought is, whoa, like, am I really about to date this guy who has a kid and not think about the next step, which would have been fiance, and then the step after that, which would have been wife. And so there is a transition that happened there. And when we were going through that transition, there was a kid that happened along with it.
Yeah.
So there was a level of intentionality that we had to have.
To have been. I mean, not necessarily had to have been, because that's not everyone's like that.
Not everyone's like that, but it should be when there's a kid involved.
I would think so.
Like, if you're dating someone and there's a kid involved and you're just dating, like, you got to be careful with the kid,
especially at that young, because they come with a baby mama. And
that's what I'm saying.
Just like the kid and like what introducing them to all these different people can do to them.
I think a lot of people
are conscious of that.
But see, people do it, and it's unfair to the child.
This was a discussion
in a previous. It's unfair to the child.
It is
at the end of the day, because the kid is getting to know different people. Like, it's you shouldn't. I'm not saying it's not done, but in my opinion, if you're gonna go into a relationship and you're gonna become a girlfriend to a man who has a child, you got to think with intentionality.
Yeah, and not even just because like the relationship aspect of it, but also let's not highlight that, Angela, you are very well educated in child development.
Yes.
Teacher.
Yes. I am a whole teacher. So like I see it. I see families where the dad is coming with the girlfriend to pick up the kid from school. Yeah. The mom comes like 30 minutes later, like, where's my kid?
Oh.
Well, legally, he went with his guardian. So, like, it can get messy. So we went into it very intentional. And then that brings me to the transition. And you guys mentioned the same thing. Of course, like, girlfriend, you're in the beginning stages. So it's a lot of fun. You're dating. You're lots and lots of sex. It's like, it's a lot of fun. And then you transition to promise, right?
Yeah.
Promise. Transition to promise. So to me, girlfriend to fiance was probably the biggest transition, because at this point,
same,
like, when we get in an argument, like
you could just leave.
Girlfriend, you could just leave.
Yeah. I tried that. I tried to leave, and Shane was like,
"Yes,
where you going?"
Yes. Like, and you can't do that. And I think
what should do is snatch you right back. Like, nah, girl, we gonna communicate this.
Exactly. And I think that's what was going on. Probably that period between when Sean knew he was getting ready to propose to me, because he knew like we had the capability of being able to work things out, and that this was going to be a fruitful relationship. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So then you get into Fiance. And I think the biggest transition there is that you're starting to bring legal matters together. Like, you're figuring out how you're going to do finances. Like, we're looking at each other. You have your own account. I have my own account. We're getting married in a year. How are we bringing this together? Yeah. So where are we living? Am I taking your last name?
Yeah. Oh, girl, I have a whole thing about this right now. I did take on my husband's last name. However, my passport still has my maiden name.
Mine does too.
Okay, so how do you deal with that?
I have not fixed that problem yet.
We just fixed it.
I'm gonna try to fix it this year before the wedding.
I tried to make an appointment with the passport office, and they gave me this bogus ass answer.
Talk to Dre. Dre did mine.
Okay, well I'm gonna try to fix it.
Passport by next
Friday.
Yeah,
your brother's getting married in Mexico.
Next Friday.
See, I'm trying to fix it before Rachel's wedding.
That's your time. You should get on that.
Yes.
So if any of you know how to quickly expedite a passport when you're married,
go to the passport office and just be like, "Excuse me."
Honestly, it might not matter.
Well, I don't think so. Anyway, this is a conversation for
we'll figure that out.
But that's like, these are like things that happen. Like, am I taking your last name? Like, for us, it was a detailed conversation.
Yeah.
And because, I was told by older women, don't take his last name, because if you get divorced, it's a fucking mess
to change.
To change everything back. But to me, I wasn't thinking I'm gonna go get divorced.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's the wrong mindset to have going into a marriage, thinking like, well, if we get divorced, I'm gonna have to take all this and all that.
That was literally the main reason why I did change my name. Like, Sean had his reasons. He wanted me to, of course, he's a man. He wanted me to take his name. You know what I'm saying? But it was my decision in the end. Absolutely. And that was probably the biggest marker for me to change my name was, I'm not thinking about like, I'm going to get divorced to him. This is it. This is it. So I did. I prepared all the documents to change my name, So that was probably like,
which is a headache.
Not even that, like, just communication there is so foundational in that transition period. It's important, like, in the girlfriend phase, but in that, like, girlfriend to fiance phase, it's serious.
Speaking of communication in that phase, like, one thing that I've talked about before is that I was a runner. So one thing, and what I mean by that is
I was gonna say, oh girl, let the people know what you mean by that, because
I ran away from hard conversations and conflict.
Yeah.
So one of the difficulties of me transitioning into being a girlfriend, because Shane was my first serious relationship ever.
Yeah.
I like to live a savage life before him, and he changed all that for me. So shout out to Shane.
Dr. Costin, thank you. Getting our girl together. You know what I'm saying?
But that transition from being like, I was a party girl.
You are literally you're transforming your mind,
social butterfly, if you will.
Well, you're still that.
Yeah.
So.
She's transformed it.
But going from like single into like in a committed relationship, I had problems like letting go of my own independence. Yeah. Like, I'm still a very independent woman, but just opening up my heart a little bit to allow someone to cater to me and just show me something different than what I had ever experienced before. That was new. So like letting down my independence, learning how to communicate about how I'm feeling with someone else instead of just being like, you know what, fuck it, I'm out.
Yeah.
'Cause that's not healthy.
Yeah.
You can't, you're not gonna get very far with that strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are some things that definitely I had to really work on, and I'm still working on it, y'all. Learning how to bite your tongue is another skill set.
It's another
y'all
show.
Should learn.
Y'all should put that one as a topic.
Okay,
guys, we can make that a whole episode.
Because this nigga got me fucked up.
For the girls, biting your tongue.
Episode 20.
I think what you mentioned about like going from independence to being in a relationship, for me, especially when all my relationships, I was the one that was paying the bills, or I was the one who was saving niggas. I was the one that was helping people out of their situations because
you have a big heart.
Well, not even that. I realized from growing up with my mom doing foster care and things like that, like I like for people to need me. And when I was dating,
Good for you for understanding.
I'm like, why do I like these people who aren't doing nothing for me? It felt good to be needed, and it felt good to save people because in certain instances,
makes sense,
right? Well, Dre was the first situation where like he saved me, or he helped me, or he looked out for me.
Did you feel like you saved Dre?
Oh heck no! Dre came to me with his ducks in a row, and I'm just here with my bag and my.
Hey.
And I'm like, well, it'll be a fun ride. I can tell you that. You'll never get bored.
Keep you on your toes.
But in our first, this is why I said that in dating, it's all about potential. Because if Dre didn't see my potential, honey, he would have left me within the first few months.
Right.
We had so many instances where I showed him the worst version of myself, but he knew my heart, he knew my potential. And that's what led to the promise of, will you be my wife? Because the amount of growth from being, hi, I'm Bree, nice to meet you, to him getting on a knee, it was a lifetime worth of growth. And it was because, again, when I was dating, I kind of thought about those three pillars. Like, you have to see the potential, then you have to actually feel chosen by that person. Right. And then once you feel chosen, then let's talk about other things. I'm not talking about parenting styles. I'm not talking about where you want to live or what you want to do or certain things when we're just dating. Like, I don't need to know how you want to raise your children if we're dating and we're not promised to each other, we're not engaged, we're not having a family together, because I don't care about what you want to do.
I will say those conversations are like important. Like, do you want kids? You know,
yes. Do you want them? But how are we disciplining our child when they come home late? And like, you're not having those conversations with someone you're dating, but when you're engaged, you are, because
have those
I'm not going to marry you, and we have a child, and I find out, so you think that's okay?
Let me tell you, now that would cause so much resentment.
A lot of resentment.
Yes, and then resentment leads to bad decisions. Bad decisions lead to worse decisions, which leads to divorce.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so when I think about the transition from girlfriend to fiance to wife, I mean, you have to have a certain amount of self-awareness in each phase. There has to be a certain amount. And I'm not saying like the moment Sean, I remember he proposed to me November. Ooh, don't forget me.
Awkward.
I feel like it's the 15th. Is it close to the 15th?
It was in November of 2016. I remember when we got married, babe. All right. I remember where it happened. It was beautiful. But I'm not saying the moment I became fiance, it was like, boom. Like, it was, I had to, in each phase, I became self-aware of where I was in that phase. Like, as the girlfriend, I'm with a man who has a child. I'm dating him to figure out, for both of us to figure out, do we want to go to the next level of promise? Do our values align enough for us to go to the next step? Yeah. You get to promise. Okay, we're gonna make this happen. Being self-aware in the promise phase. I like these phases you've coined. You know, you're in that phase, and you're trying to sort out things now so that when you get to guarantee, there's shit that's going to come up in the guarantee phase. When you're married, shit goes down. Okay?
Talk about
shit goes down, but that's why it's so important to have.
Life, though.
Yeah.
Life is going to go down. Yeah. Now you have a partner.
And what I would say, though, I think the benefit of dating someone and getting to that promise phase that actually has children is you get to see firsthand how they are as a parent. Yeah. And that is an easy way to kind of determine.
Hey, are we talking about the transition to mom? To being a mom when you are married, that's a transition too out here.
Listen, like, so with that is a transition.
That might be a serious one we need to add on to the title.
A lot of that transition comes from the lack of intimacy on the woman's part when she becomes a mother. And you know, men.
And the pregnancy.
The hardship of the pregnancy. Every woman is different with their pregnancy. And pregnancy is not easy, even if you have a good pregnancy. Like, that shit is hard.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot that comes with that. Mood swings. Girl, I could not stop crying. I did not want to have sex for a very long time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that those changes come with new transition. That is a good one. That's
a
since we're talking about
big transition.
Yeah.
Like
we should probably do a separate episode specifically on
for that transition into motherhood.
I can't really, I can give my from what I've seen.
Babysat Angela's kids the other day, and she was like, "Oh my god, I totally know what it feels like to be a mom." And I was like, "Not quite."
Well, I said it wrong. I was walking down the street with Amaris and Alina on my hand, and I got so many compliments about, "Oh my god, your kids are so cute." And I'm like, thank you. I'll tell their mother. And I was on FaceTime with Cece, and I'm like, I'm just here with Leah. We're walking, we're going to get ice cream, we're going to do this. And I was like, this is what motherhood feels like. And I was like, I should have said looks like. And I was like, this is what it looks like. Because I was like, you can't say that to a mother.
It don't even look like that.
Cece done had a whole baby.
First of all, they're way better for other people.
Yeah. No, I know. But it did feel, it was cute. I was like, I could see it on me.
But see, like there's a big transition there. And I think that transition, if you're married and you're transitioning to motherhood with your husband, there's a lot of stuff that happened in your other transitions that prepared you for that moment.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
So
that's what I'm saying. In each phase, you should be really self-aware. You should be really self-aware because at the end of the day,
and be able to reflect back on prior phases where you had some type of hardship or had to get over some type of hurdle or whatever. You learned a new skill in your relationship. You should be able to reflect back to that, to think, how did I make it through? What tools did I use to allow me, my partner, to move past this and continue to thrive as a unit? So I mean, the nature of like any relationship is you're going into a risk. You're going into a risk with someone who you have it's a business deal.
Zero control over. You shouldn't have control over your partner. Your partner should not have control over you. No. So you're going into this very risky situation where this person could stomp all over your heart, no matter which. Oh my God, that sounds so negative.
But facts.
It's facts.
Yeah,
that's the nature of going into relationships.
It's also the reality of the imperfections of people.
Exactly. So if you can be self-aware in each phase, then if that does happen, if this person stomps on your heart and leaves you for someone else in any of those phases, because I've seen people get engaged and then he went a different direction.
That's why I call it a promise, because a promise can be broken, honey.
I've seen
you can break a promise.
In the past year, I've seen 2 engagements fall apart.
Yeah.
I've seen someone get married and leave him a month later.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I've seen it all, but that's what I'm saying. Like, and I asked my friend, like, what happened? And she was just like, in the end, she was like, I probably just wasn't very self-aware and what was going on during the engagement and when we were dating.
Listen, we talked about red flags before. So if you haven't seen that, please go watch that episode. It apparently got quite some traffic on it and people had some opinions about it.
Yeah. I don't think they understood what a red flag is.
And then also red flags are subjective.
Different for everybody.
Yeah.
Anywho, we've talked about noticing those things before you decide to go into this business agreement.
But you know what happens? Sometimes people came out of a relationship where their next relationship is a way for them to prove to their last person or the people looking, whether it's friends, family, that I'm okay or I'm winning. And they'll go into relationships that look good, sound good, feel good momentarily just for themselves to feel like, look at me. And age, when it comes to women, is a big thing too. There's a lot of women that settle and end up marrying someone because they feel men too. Yeah, I shouldn't have said women. Yeah. Individuals will settle, be with someone, and then a year later after you've had some growth, you realize, oh, this isn't the person I'm supposed to be with.
Yeah.
And that happens, and it's sad and unfortunate, but it's a reality. Like Angela said, it's heartbreak.
It can happen. Like you can get to the promise phase, have the ring, be planning the wedding, and you walk in, he's sleeping with your sister. It's something horrible.
So it's the risk you took. Real quick. So let's also talk about on the flip side, the person where the woman who walks in on her fiance and her sister, right? So I think something that can also help prepare you for girlfriend to fiance to maybe neither, and then back to getting on that track with someone else is emotional resiliency. So one thing that I've been practicing a lot is becoming more emotionally resilient. And I do this through my meditation practice. I do a morning guided meditation practice every single day, and it's just helping. Your mind is a muscle. So essentially I'm just lifting weights for my mindset to help me to, whenever something negative or some type of circumstance happens in my life, I'm able to bounce back.
Yeah.
I pride myself on being very resilient. If you get my husband up here and we swap seats, one thing he's going to say about me that he loves the most is how resilient I am. I love being happy. I hate being frustrated. I have high anxiety, so I take edibles sometimes and I'm happy again. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm happy I got it. Where's my pill?
But I've learned what works for me. And for me, meditation helps me to build up that resilience. And so I just want to like kind of talk about this type of person, because unfortunately some people are on the other side where they're not off running around with some new man in Monaco on a yacht. Like they are the person who got left. And that's unfortunate, but that's the reality. And so, you know, I encourage everybody to, even if you're not there yet, just practice being an emotionally resilient person, because life is going to happen to you at some point.
And that goes along with self-awareness.
You know, so the better you can bounce back from it.
I mean, it's getting a divorce. It's not like we're breaking up in the girlfriend phase. Like it's probably, I haven't done it, and knock on wood, I hope not to do it. But it seems horrible. Your whole life is like shattered. And, you know, for whatever reason that the divorce happened, you know, I'm sure there's a mourning period of some sort for people who go through it, a period where you need to be self-aware of or come back to being self-aware as to why, what, and how it happened.
And sometimes there's no reason, and that's the hardest part. When I'm going to mention this, not mentioning any names or anything, but somebody reached out to me and told me their situation. I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know what to say to them, because I was just like, this is a crap situation. 6 kids, and basically she found out that her husband was gay, and he was the entire time was with another man.
Oh man.
And he presented it to her as in like, well, we should stay married and just be friends. And
Holy
it's like
shit.
something like that. He told her,
so
you didn't do anything wrong, X, Y, and Z. She wasn't having any like lack of sex or intimacy with him, so that's what even makes it worse.
She never saw any signs that he was gay?
She said no.
He didn't like his butt played with?
No. I mean, I didn't specifically ask that question, but she was like, there was no signs, there was no doubt.
Holy shit,
I never had moments. And so stuff like that, people could be living I mean, it just reverts back to what Cece said about emotional, like being mindful and aware, and being in a space where regardless of what happens, you got to get on with it. Like, especially when this person already has, like they're good, you got to get on with it. But to a lesser painful and emotional topic, I wanted to ask you guys how, and let's be real, how it feels when you got a ring on your finger. Because for me, once I
don't think mine's clean.
Mine ain't. Now. Well, let's do a ring flick. Dre, are you getting this? Okay. So
he bought it. He bought it. He purchased it.
Girl. For me, that's when I felt the biggest difference. And I felt it in a weird way, because once I had a ring on my finger, it was almost like I was like walking around a little more like proud. Like, I'm ticking and I got to be ring.
I mean, I'm proud because I got this pretty ass diamond on my finger.
It makes you feel good. It definitely makes you feel good.
I'm like, how many more diamonds can I get? You know, my birthday's diamond.
Makes you feel good.
Yeah.
And it made it real for me, because it's like, it's a symbol. Like, you see it when you wake up, you see it before you go to sleep, you feel it on you every day. And that was when I felt almost married to Drake. So I was like, this is what made it real. And once we got married, it was just like, well, like, obviously we were gonna get married. Like, this is the point of it all. But that's what made me feel different, for sure. But then on that same topic, when we think of like having a ring, and you're like flashing diamonds and and there's some people out there who like maybe their man can't afford a big diamond ring, but it's a promise ring or it's a band or it's something. What advice would you guys give to a woman that is like super ecstatic, over the moon over her relationship she just got proposed to, but maybe the ring's not what she expected? It's like, how do you deal with being like, I was super excited to have this ring on my finger, be proud, but maybe it's not, it doesn't look how you want, and it makes you insecure.
You can upgrade it in a few years. What? Like
I'm getting upgraded.
What do you do in the meantime?
Well, I mean, honestly, okay, at the end of the day, the ring, it's material. Like, if I take this off right now, which I'm not,
I almost
you're still married to Shane Costin.
Exactly.
That's exactly my point. That's exactly my point.
It's material.
Material goods can get lost, stolen, burn up in a fire.
Yeah.
Get lost in the ocean.
It's insured. Like, you know what I'm saying?
If your ring's not insured, insure your ring.
But I'm saying, like, at the end of the day, if you've gotten to the point where the potential is there and the promise has been given and you're excited about the promise, promise is something that brings you joy and brings you happiness, fuck that shit. Sorry, but fuck that.
That's exactly my point. Is there's so many women that reach out.
Girl,
or that
you better take that man.
Especially with you guys and just in general, they'll reach out and they'll say, you guys have such beautiful rings, and will send me photos of like a ring that has a smaller diamond or this or that. Yeah, and they really they feel like bad about being in public.
You know what that is? That's social media. That's Pinterest.
So
that's all of that.
It's no different when people have on designer bags, designer shoes, and in a $8,000 wardrobe. You feel me? Like, that shit don't mean nothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the pressure. Nothing. I mean, honestly, some people, like, I'll bring up my little sister. Like, she would be okay not getting married to her boyfriend because she knows that in the end, that love is what she wanted, what she fought for. I mean, now, my future brother-in-law is going to propose to her at some point.
She's already had the conversation. It's happening.
But what I'm saying is, it's the same. It's the same commitment, same love. If it's there, like it's the same with this or without it. Oh, so sure. I mean, honestly, it's like pressure. It's pressure from society to have a beautiful ring.
It's like keeping up with the Joneses type of thing. Sometimes like the neighbor has a Benz.
Sometimes it's pressure to call this person your wife and have this big wedding. Like, if they don't want that and they're happy with their love, they might have more love than some people who married.
Have all the
I got
the biggest
super
of rings.
bashed for not getting a wedding band and not.
I remember you telling me about that from followers, right?
Yeah. I mean, so many girls too were like, yes, sis, like I'm here for that. But it goes back to the same thing. I wear my ring out of respect for my husband, but honestly, I don't need the ring. It made me feel good because it was a symbol of like, ooh, like this is serious and it's happening. But it could have been a ring pop. It could have been a piece of string cheese. Like, it might have been 8, but it could have been anything because it's like, okay, this is real. So it's more of the symbol. But I have seen with a lot of women, especially with Dre and I's Worth the Wait, and now for the girls, you know, they see the rings, they see these things, and they get almost insecure if they don't have someone who could supply them with a certain type of like diamond or ring or whatever.
Does he love you? Does he respect you? Does he take care of you?
Yeah. If you think he can give you that ring eventually.
And the thing is, no one's going to say anything to you. No one's going to be like, oh, cute, it's so little. No one's going to do that. And if they do, slap them.
They might think it.
You need to.
But they're not going to say it.
But yeah, I agree. It's all about like the material thing. But I wanted to bring that up because people were in my DMs lately asking about rings. And I was like, this is a perfect opportunity. There's a transition between where you don't have a ring and you do have a ring, and then also where a band comes into play. And I think the ring thing is more of a societal thing, right? There's nowhere in the Bible where God says, and then you present a ring and now you have a wife. That was never the obligation. That was never a thing. This is something that we created as people.
It was created by the Diamond Company. Fun fact. Makes sense. It was created by, it was propaganda by the Diamond Company to encourage people to buy more diamonds.
Makes sense.
So it was a marketing.
But I feel like you should know that. Like anybody should know that. It's, you know, so that's a great point. So if you guys are watching this and you are engaged or thinking of getting engaged, please do not like value or measure your love or your happiness in your relationship based off of the size of your diamond. It's so not worth it. But yeah, that's great. I mean, I think we did a really great show.
I also want to say, like, we also forgot to mention that you're doing this transition with someone.
Yeah.
So
you be mindful of that other person.
Yeah, I know this was a woman asking girls,
yes,
how did that transition go? But it really can
Bring them in.
It really can be very beautiful. And I appreciate that transition. And I know Sean and I are gonna go through 20 more transitions.
Yeah.
But and I'm just I think we have to forget that we forget sometimes that you're doing it with a person.
Yeah.
So
communication,
self-awareness.
Show grace.
Yes, show grace.
People are imperfect. Everybody.
Yes.
So show grace to your partner as they're navigating a new journey, just like you.
Yeah, you're being vulnerable with a person you have zero control over. And they shouldn't have control over you. Keep putting that right there on the
Angela's like, I'm not here for the control. You're in an unhealthy relationship. Call 1-800-ANGELA will help. No, because that's real. That's real. Oh my gosh. Okay, so before we close out, we have to do a quick toast because Cece just moved into her new home this weekend. So we're gonna do a little. We don't have much left in Cece's cup, but we're just gonna. Here you go, girl. Here, take a look.
Per usual, Cece's cup is empty.
Cheers! Congrats, Cece and
you,
Shane, to your new
Shane
home.
and Capri, your new home.
Oh my gosh, this new home ownership is a blessing, but also a little stressful.
It's a lot.
Ooh, that's good.
Thank you guys so much. So make sure that you subscribe. Make sure that you comment below. Let us know what topics you want. This week, all of our episodes are based on what you all said that you want to hear about. So make sure you comment, slide in the DMs at Relationship Restored. Connect with us from Relationship Restored.
Yes, I love talking to y'all in my DMs. So.
Yes, I want to do
I'm
this.
a DM person. Comment me.
Comment. You're better at comments than DM.
Girl, yes. After the wedding episode, I had a whole conversation with somebody from Canada. I was like,
in your comments?
Yeah, no, my DMs.
Okay, see, that makes sense.
I like
this one.
I like talking to
Don't
people.
DM me, just comment me. Comment me.
It's what I like.
That's so funny. Well, love you guys. To another episode.
See ya.